Hello again, this is Deborah. I really want to share a few things, not so much to defend myself, but to let you know how amazing our Father is. And any of you who are subscribed to me are mature believers and know His ways. But there are some, I think, who still wonder about what in the world is going on. And I just want to give you a testimony of different ways the Lord has confirmed to me what He's doing in me, because as I have shared, it was so unbelievable some of the things that He has done with me. When I came, after my divorce, I was alone for 4 years, and the Lord arranged it so that I had to work out of town. I was selling my company and putting things in order, and I needed some steady income, so I went back to work as a union electrician, commercial electrician, and I had to travel out of town because there wasn't any work in my local. So I lived with my parents, and I had been praying and fasting for 4 years. I mean, I was down to like 91 pounds. Now, I normally weigh about 103 to 105, so I'm a small person anyway. But I was down to 91 pounds. I did not eat hardly at all for those 4 years. I'm serious. I was fasting at least 3 days every week, which is another reason and another way the Lord was able to come into me the way He did. So I was fasting and praying for the restoration of my marriage. And on the third day of a fast, I had already moved in with my parents because I was going to be working, in a local near them. I had moved in with my parents, and I had been fasting for 3 days. And typically on the third day, the Lord would answer my prayer or question or whatever was going on. And I was fasting actually for my marriage again. And on the third day, when I knelt to pray, I heard the Lord speak as clearly as I've ever heard Him. And He said, "Steve is no longer your husband." I was a little surprised at that, but He also said to me, "He is sinning against his father more than you know." So to this day, I have no idea. I mean, I do have some ideas about what he was involved in. So that was the end of that. And as it turned out, the guy that I worked for, against my own desires, I tell you, the Lord has strange ways, and the Bible is clear that we are not supposed to get married. That's what I thought, remarried if you're divorced. But the Lord had me get married to this guy. It's a long story. It's a long and painful story. But he was very bound up. He was a Catholic, raised Catholic, and he needed a lot of deliverance. People, I know you're going to say this is crazy. I know that's why I don't share things, because it just goes against everything we've ever been taught. For instance, one day he was sitting at the kitchen table and the Lord began to speak to him. I have no idea what the Lord was saying because the Lord blocked my ears. And he was talking to my husband, and he started gesturing with my hands, speaking with my hands like a sign language. And my husband's eyes turned pitch black. And I'm watching him because, when this happens, when the Lord uses my body, I have my own will. I could stop him at any time. I'm not, in la la land. I'm just yielded. So I was looking at him and I was saying, what is wrong with his eyes? Why do they look like that, And then, the next thing I know, to my surprise, he kneels on the floor and puts his hands in the air, and I walk over to him under the power of the Spirit, put my hand on his shoulder, and the Lord delivered him of something. Now, at one point, the Lord showed me that he had, I don't know how many of you have ever watched Star Wars. I never was a Star Wars fan, but I do remember this one episode, or a movie, or I don't know where I saw it. This guy, this character on one of the other planets that they had visited or something, and he was called Jabba the Hutt. Now, if you look that up, this guy was disgusting, and he would eat toads. The Lord showed me that my husband, my present husband, has this Jabba the Hutt. He doesn't anymore, he's delivered now, but he had this Jabba the Hutt demon inside of him. It was disgusting. So, anyway, the Lord, the next day after my husband's eyes turned black and the Lord delivered him of something, the next day, my friend, the seer, who the Lord sent into my life so that he could speak to me out of her mouth directly, because everything was so outrageous that I was experiencing, and I really needed some help. And so he would talk to me directly out of her mouth. It was crazy. So the next day, her and I are talking, and she says to me out of the clear blue sky, she said, well, the eyes are the window of the soul. And all of a sudden it snapped. All of a sudden I just realized what had happened, that this demon had risen up into my husband's eyes at the urging of the Holy Spirit, and then he delivered him of this thing. So he used to wake me up in the middle of the night, and I'd be roaring, and he would be delivering my husband. My husband would be sound asleep. He wouldn't wake up. And I know it's because if he did, I mean, he would have thrown me out of the house. And in fact, he did throw me out of the house, I have to tell you. He threw me out of the house. He told me I was crazy. He told me I needed to see a psychiatrist. So we were separated. The Lord separated us. And this is what I'm getting to. I went to a church with my friend, and I was back in my home in New York. And I went to a church service with my friend, and she said to me, well, if you can get prayer from this guy named Jesse, he was the pastor's son-in-law, she said, you need to get prayer from him because he's very prophetic, and you know, he'll be able to pray for you. And I said, okay. So I get up in line to get prayer, and Jesse comes right over to me, and he begins to speak, and he says to me, I don't know you. He said, I don't know if you're married or not. He said, but there's a man in your life. I think it's your husband, but I don't know for sure. He said, he has mental and emotional problems, but he's telling you you're the one with the problem. I tell you, I almost fell on the floor. I almost fell on the floor. And he continued, and he said that he had suffered a trauma in his childhood that he had never recovered from. Well, the Lord showed me in a subsequent dream what he had suffered from, and knowing that he was a Catholic, I think you can put it together. I'm not going to say too much. So he had a lot of things that he needed to be delivered from. And that's why the Lord had me marry this man. So even though the Bible tells us not to remarry, and I don't suggest it for anyone unless the Lord tells them to, my husband is now closer to the Lord than he's ever been. And the Lord has delivered him from a lot. He's delivered me from a lot. And I just wanted, I don't know why I shared that part. It's not what I intended to share, but I do believe the Lord wants me to share some things that I have experienced so that maybe it won't be so hard when you start seeing these strange things happening. I love you guys, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.